Hello, all, and thank you for joining us for the third episode of Sportscast, where we delve into the minds of individuals in the sports space and sports individuals and also athletes at some point. Today, I have a very special gentleman with me, Naveen Ningaya, who is the CEO of Sports KPI. So I think today I'll just touch upon a little bit of a personal note where we actually met Naveen the first time in 2017 when we actually started looking at doing the sports pitch, and Naveen came and pitched Sports KPI actually in big picture. There was a lot of alcohol and stuff involved as well that day. But yeah, Naveen came and pitched, and he also happened to win the sports pitch in big picture. So I think since then it has moved rather from just collaborating on pitching to also a very nice friendship because we can also discuss a lot of sports and all of those kind of activities as well. Naveen, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this show. So obviously the first question that I have for you is why sports and how did you become involved in sports?
Okay. Hey, thanks Abhijit for inviting me. And also, I've seen Crowd Product way back from 2017 onwards. That's where a pretty interesting concept. Didn't know that how exactly it works to get all the feedback and the user feedback for the work which we do upon. And it's been great that I've been in touch with you and been discussing multiple areas and topics around. And thanks for the invite and trying to have a call with me and discussing about my space, about sports and sports analytics like that.
Yep, yep.
Awesome.
So yeah, why sports? And how did
Nice.
you get involved? Yeah,
Yeah. So I think why sport is very simple. I think it's all driven by passion. Way back, I mean, during my school days or college days, I've been very much active in sports. I mean,
right,
typically someone who wants to play every game, not someone who had gone through a specific coaching and things like that, but would always enjoy sports. Wherever I go, I tend to watch, sit down, any game, just try to look it up. So I played for my school, colleges, and corporate. Okay,
nice,
that always led to me in terms of saying that how can I how can I work in sport? I mean, my first thing was to get a job in sport. How do I be part of a team? Uh, you know,
right,
how can I be a part of a team? Because typically you have coaches, you have players, you have medical staff, you have physios. So that's where the core team comes in. So you're neither a player, neither a coach, nor a medical guy. So that there's no way an option. So I was all trying to look at whether should I get into operations, management, and what is the way in which I need to get in. So should I do sports management, things like that.
right, right,
And so again, it's all pure driven by passion. And then I was very much wanted to work with the team, be part of a professional team. I mean then start connecting with a lot of people around. And yeah, I mean, my journey goes through doing multiple hustles and trying to figure out and connect with people around.
right,
And that led me to be part of the industry, at least so far. I
right,
think it's
right.
been like close to 2014 onwards. I think I would say 2012, but then my journey of working with teams started working on 2014 onwards. I think it's been a great around close to 6 years, working in
Right.
this.
Right. You actually just mentioned that you used to play sports as well. Played for school, played for college, and even played for your corporate teams. So,
Yeah, yeah.
what were the one or two sports that actually excited you? What were the one sport that you said I'll put up my hand and I'll play this? What?
Yes, I mean, for school we played almost. I mean, we used to play like every game, but yeah, cricket was something I played a lot.
Right.
Especially at my engineering college, even in cricket as well. Went to my first job, corporate job. I was in Calcutta, and Calcutta being, I think, very big in sport over there. Played a
Right.
lot of these corporate tournaments over there. Football was one of the main things there. We won a lot of tournaments across. So I would say football and cricket were the two main sports which we went through. But likewise, we had to be part of the every team, every sport team in school is to be part of, because since we were always active in that. But yeah,
Right.
cricket and football was something really, really big for us.
Right. So cricket and football. Okay. And So now today, we have the ISL, we have the IPL, the I League. There's a lot of investment going on in cricket, with the Ranji Trophy and things like that, and also kabaddi, badminton. They've
Yeah.
all come up with a lot of leagues today. So, what do you make of this league structure? How is it? How beneficial do you think is something like this to the overall sports industry in our country?
I think it all started off with people talk about. I mean, IPL. IPL is the one of the biggest top-notch league in the world, and I
Right.
think prior to that, many other leagues did come up. ICL was prior to that, but then I mean,
Right.
from the business model and everything, IPL really created a kind of a business model which every other sports can actually pick it up. Okay, and they might get customized accordingly based on how the IPL things have been done. Like you have a central pool of money, you distribute across all the teams. It's a
Right.
closed tournament. What I mean by closed tournament is that there's no promotion or relegation. Even in case of football, ISL, there's no promotion. So it's a closed tournament. You've got 8 teams or 10 teams. They play against each other. Even if you come at last, you still get to be. You can still make some money out there and things like that.
Right. Right.
So with IPL being one of the top notch, ISL followed along with that. Pro Kabaddi became the second most best league after IPL,
Right.
and then badminton followed up and things like that. So hockey was quite impactful, but then I think slowly it saw a downturn in terms of hockey as well. So I mean
Right.
that model really helped us a lot, helped a lot of people to come in on board. Second, it actually opened up a lot many jobs. Maybe
Right.
when ISL was initially was for 3 months or Pro Kabaddi is for 4 5 months, it opened up so many jobs for operations, marketing guys, sales guys, analysts, coaches are coming out
Right.
there, and then every team has got reserve teams, which has to get trained. So they're open up opportunities for coaches out there and masseurs, physios. I'm saying a lot of work has been done, and a lot of people has been able to get a lot of jobs, and people are able to get through some of their dream jobs to work with sports industry and the professional athletes out
Right.
there.
Right. So we'll get to the sports industry and the jobs in sports in a bit. But before that, you started Sports KPI, right, which is an analytics company. And I think if I remember correctly, you mentioned to me that you volunteered with some teams and you
Yes.
just went around with them and you saw the way they do things and stuff. So which are the teams that you volunteered with, and what was that volunteering experience like?
See, how it all started was I had two things in my mind. One is I was being part of the entrepreneurial community way back from 2008, I would say. I was part of Head Start community, and then that
Right.
entrepreneurship was always there. That hey, you got to do something, whether you want to do it in your corporate job, whatever you have studied or worked with, or you want to do something with your passion. So that's one part of an entrepreneurship part. And second, when it comes to then I realized that sports is something which I love the most. So I
Right.
was also there in Netherlands for like 3 4 months for my corporate job, and I connected with a lot of professional teams out there, hockey basically,
Okay.
and trying to understand. Didn't know anything about Indian sport, but I was just trying to go and meet them and say, would you like to do something in India? Like you guys to come down, do some scouting and things like that. And slowly I started running a meetup way back in 2012 called Sports Meet, and to call Olympians and call a lot of sporting people out there to have a
Right.
interaction and once in a month. I think what we do it right now online was more of an offline that point of time.
Right. Right.
And so I was always keen on. I was like, I can do anything in sports, but I was not sure what exactly I want to do. Like, do you want to sell tickets? Do you want to marketing? Do you want to do operations? I don't come from a sport MBA or something, but still I'm okay to everything, but not sure what exactly. And that's when I realized that I come from a technical background. I'm an engineer. And then I started, like, we watched a movie called Moneyball. We had a lot of, data, numbers, and things like that. And I was like, hey, why don't we do something with analysis? So I started reading a lot of articles, books, and stuff, and started doing more what we call as notation analysis. Just take a pen and paper, analyze a game on a paper and try to execute the coach. So
Right.
that's when I tried getting more specific towards analysis, because we might always say that, hey, I might go to a top club and say, I want a job, I can do anything for you. But then you got to be very specific and say, hey, I can help you with this particular department or this particular work. And
Right.
that's where it becomes easy for them to do it. So prior to going specific to it, I volunteered with Davis Cup in Bangalore. I volunteered with a lot of marathon events happening
Right. So
around.
Davis
So
Cup is tennis, right?
in tennis, yeah. So
Okay.
it was happening in Bangalore where Leander Pace was playing. I happened to connect with one of the officials there and say, hey, I want to work as volunteer. So did everything for free of cost. And later on, I got a chance to work with BFC. In the first 2013 is when the I League started off for them. And that's
Right.
when the first year of BFC, I got a chance to work with Ashley Westwood and Pradyum Reddy. I happened to show some analysis on what I did for a game over there. And in fact, I couldn't leave my corporate job. So I said, I want to volunteer with you. So I worked for 1 year
Right.
with them with, as a volunteer, no payment, nothing. So just to go for every match and an access to what happens after the game, how does analysis happens after the post-match analysis, which actually should take with the players. So that really helped me to understand, what typically goes on, what is the coach is looking out for, and that opened up for me to go to ISL and then step up to the next level over there. Hello, Sai, you there?
Yes, Abhijit's internet must have been
Yeah,
frozen.
okay, I believe it's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll edit this out. Actually, Naveen, then what we can do, we turn off our cameras and we continue this.
I'm good. Okay, that's fine. I think no problem.
Okay. So Naveen, I think we left off at you were just talking about your volunteering with BFC. You know. So what exactly did the volunteering entail?
Okay, so this was part of an analysis team. They had an analyst who had were working with them as a full-time guy, and I had done some analysis of all the games which there's to play. So they
Okay.
allowed me to volunteer with the analysis team, wherein we used to go for every game, just to record those
Okay.
matches. After the matches, there's to be a post-match analysis, which I was being involved with.
Right.
So we used to have all the videos being made. Uh, the coach Ashley Westwood used to conduct the video session with the players. I used to note down those points which he used to mention, and then go back, watch the game, create some reports, and provide those information out there. And during
Right.
the matches, we used to do some bit of notation analysis. So we had an Australian coach who was a goalkeeper coach. So we used to collect a lot of data during the match, go in the halftime into the
Right.
dressing room, show some of the small clippings out there. So that's where I picked up some of the basic thing to start off. That's just way back in 2013, the first year of BFC's I League, where they
Right.
won the champion, they became a champion out there. And so so doing some volunteer work with Davis Cup, some marathons, and then doing it BFC, that helped me to connect with a lot of professional people in the sports industry. So
Right.
by the time I'd already connected with a lot of people in hockey, like Jude Felix, Arjun Alapasar, and a lot of athletes like Reed Abraham, Vidu sir. So I mean, you kept on going to these stadiums and spending more time there, and you keep meeting people out there. So
Right. Right.
always add upon your network out there. So that's something which really helped me out to volunteer, and then and that allowed me to open up my first job in sports industry, working with ISL team in 2014. That was the first year.
Right. Right. So obviously, Bengaluru FC is one of the most successful teams in India.
Right.
Ever since 2013, they've actually, they've won almost every major trophy there is, reached the AFC Cup final. And, a lot of the attribution goes to someone like an Ashley Westwood and Pradyum Reddy, who actually laid the foundations for the team.
Right.
So, what was your experience specifically working with these two individuals? I'm sure it would have been a lot of learning. So, what was your experience?
Oh yeah, I mean Ashley, and Pradyum. I mean, I'm still in touch with them. Even when Ashley
Right.
Westwood moved to ATK as a technical director, we worked with them with an ISL team
Right.
when Ashley Westwood was there. And also with Pradyum, I think it's been close to 6, 7 years now. I'm very much in touch, and we do keep doing some kind of an different projects together and things like that. All right.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
that's very much required in the industry. So we build a
Absolutely.
relationship out there. So when I went in there, Ashley Westwood, I think to be very, very, I think it's a very funny thing. I really couldn't understand his accent, the way he come with the Northern English. And I mean, I was literally, I'm thinking, like a guy who's done engineering, who understands so much of English better. I was not able to pick up. And how could a player, from some part in Northeast, how was they able to pick up this particular thing? But anyway, it's, at the end of the day, it's a football knowledge we just speak. And
Right.
so Ashley was like so much into data, every nitty gritty of things, just to do so much of analysis on the opponent, prepare for the game. I mean, incredible level of preparation for the game.
Right.
And he used to look at lot many numbers, watch a lot of videos, and very systematic. Even one of the time he said, "Hey, coach, we couldn't get this video for an opponent," then he was like, not very happy with that. He was the one who introduced a lot of, very early days, introducing GPS devices, heart rate monitors, and things like that. So he was too much into those technology, data, videos, and so and so onto that.
Right.
Pradyum, I think, also had a similar kind of an alignment with coach. He brought in so much of data which he used to collect. I'm not talking about like a huge big data and stuff, but having because there was no information out there. I League hardly no one used to collect data point, but whatever
Correct.
used to come on journalism or gold.com and things, he used to collect those numbers, put this thing across, and then he used to keep a track of everything, right?
Right.
No one knew about those such as factors, and he always enjoyed understanding what analysis comes into picture, what could be done, what's new things happening. I think both had a great combination in working with them, and that really helped me to understand what softwares are being used, what technology
Right.
has been used, how do you do this analysis which has to be done. So I think
Right.
that was a very early foundation which I got in, which really helped me to go and work with other teams out there.
Right. Right. That's fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic story also. So, coming specifically to sports KPI, sports KPI, obviously it would have changed a lot since when you
Yeah.
pitched and won the sports pitch. But for the purpose of those listening to this, what is sports KPI and what are the kind of stuff that you guys do? And how has the transition been from Bengaluru FC, Netherlands, hockey and stuff? And how has it shaped what sports KPI is today?
Yeah, I think a lot of things have changed, or a lot of things have evolved through this journey. So, Sports KPI is a sports analytics firm. We want to help sports team measure their performances, track, and then how can we help teams win? That is a major motto for us.
Right.
And how can we help teams win using analytics, technology, and the knowledge behind the sport? Okay, these are three main things which is very important to go and solve and help out the teams over there, right?
Right.
So there are
Right.
different stakeholders comes in the picture. It could be the management, the CEOs, and the coach and the athletes over there, or the players out there, right?
Right. Right.
So we started doing, understanding what is analysis all about, and then doing a lot of service-based model. We work. I think currently I would say the two main sports we cover a lot is on football and kabaddi.
Right.
So we do a lot more work in case of the Indian national team. We work with the AFF. We work for the the women's team, the senior women's team.
Right.
We did work for them for the under 15, under 19 team as well. So we provide them with analysis out there.
Right.
So then we also work with many teams out there in ISL, I League, and so what we want to do is we want to provide how do I make analysis easy and simple for coaches to understand, right? So
Right.
it could be a team at the national team, ISL, or it could even be a small club in Northeast. I think we work with like Shillong Lajong, Minerva Punjab as well. So even
Right.
if we get the video, the footages and everything, we can analyze and then provide you the feedback to the coaches out there, in terms of how does the player play, what are the different phases of the game, what went wrong, what went right, and these set of things was coming in. So we have a team of operation team which collects a lot of data. So we have each and every data point for a football or a kabaddi match has been collected, stored, and then that has been used by a small team which we have, which is into analytics. So we build a lot of
Right.
machine learning based models, our own advanced metrics in order to identify undervalued players, how the player is going to perform in the future, and there are multiple metrics being available, I think in football and kabaddi as well. Then
Right.
we have a team of front-end analysts who actually goes to the teams, work with them, help out the coaches in order to understand analysis and then communicate back to the players out there. So that's been the structure within the company. So we moved on from typically just recording matches, analyzing the games. Then we start collecting a lot of our own in-depth data. We start building a lot of analytical models using some algorithms and everything. And now that we want to connect back to the sports industry, trying to help out the way the new advanced way of analysis is being done, which can be done for the Indian sports out here.
Right. Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So, I just want to pick up on one thing that you mentioned. You said you do a lot of analytical modeling and you use a lot of AI, ML, that kind of stuff. You know, so if you were to pick one or two innovations in football analytics, what would they be? It doesn't have to be specific innovation, but there innovation in the last maybe 5 years or 6 years, or how has analytics changed the sport or changed the way we watch sports?
Right, right. See, there are two. I mean, if you're looking at football, there are a couple of things. So one is that in football itself, I mean, we've been always been consuming the same old stats, right? We look at
Right,
goals, shots, on target, off target, corners, free kick. That's typically from a broadcasting point of view, right? That's what they want to communicate with. But if you want to, in order to understand, evaluate a player or a game, there are so much of data points and so much of metrics is being come up right now. In the industry right now, there are things like expected goal, expected assist, there's something called as a PPDA, and there's so many things which has come out. So which is going to define a metric of a player to understand is he performing better or not, right? So otherwise, we
right,
can't just say the guy who scores more goals is the best player. That's not the case,
right,
because it
right,
all depends on against which team has scored. Is that a winning goal? How impactful is that particular player? Will he going to score again or not? So there's so many things which has to be defined in order to do it, right?
right,
So one
right,
is that multiple advanced metrics has come out where people are able to build some algorithms and models to understand the game much more deeper. A lot more data in terms of not only event data, the tracking data, what we call. So you look at every second where the player has been positioned in the pitch. So they call this as tracking data, so that we know how far are they from two defenders or wingers, and that particular thing. So that has really come up a lot in using
right,
cameras and everything. And people nowadays have moved into something with a computer vision, where
right,
given a video, you can actually understand where the players are standing. It's not only so in football, if you look at it, it's just the person who has the ball, right? Uh, it's like on the ball is what we have the data, right?
right,
But
right,
now the things have moved in where people want to understand the off the ball movement of the players, right? So using
right,
the computer vision technology, people are able to put on the video and track who are the players around the ball and what position are there, how much distance are there from the ball as itself, and how much pressure points are they putting in. So these kind of information is also coming out in the industry
right,
right now. So
right.
I would say tracking data, computer vision, and using machine learning based models are really coming up a lot in case of football as
Right. So I just wanted to add actually to something that you said. I recently was reading a news article where Kevin De Bruyne, he negotiated a new
well.
contract using data analytics
Correct.
and without any agent, without anything. And that is, it's like somebody looking at their effectiveness in an organization and going and telling an HR, hey, look, this is the data. This is what I have. Please give me a salary hike. But amazing, Naveen. I think what you've done with sports analytics on the field. I just want to, I think, go back a little bit to what you said at the start. About jobs having been opened up because of all the leagues that have come. First we had the ICL, then the IPL, then ISL, Pro Kabaddi League, Pro Badminton League, and obviously at some point we've also seen franchisee hockey as well, right? So if you were to talk about or rather, I should be saying, can you talk a little more about the opportunities that exist for students or freshers who are probably listening to something like this? What are the opportunities that exist in sports today?
See now, object like the way I've seen, when we started off, uh, I mean, there was no a structured program or a sports management program in India. People used to go abroad and study out there. And now that there's so many colleges have come up which can provide, is providing a sports management program. I mean, that has really opened up. Why? Because of so many leagues have actually come out, the jobs have opened up, and people are able to decide upon operations, marketing, sales, even being an agent out there, right?
Right,
Representing the athletes and things like that. So that is something where people are able to work with ISL, I leagues, IPLs, and even in terms of the teams. So if you look at the way I look at from a team's point of view, there are a lot of and analytics or maybe an analyst job itself has become more like which is something which is very much required. Like it has become
right,
like a permanent role which every team is looking for. Not only
right,
that, there is one previously just like one analyst for a team, but now there are like a team of two or three analysts working with these many teams out there. And what I
right,
recently saw, which is like we also started looking at some of the youth leagues, youth football leagues in Bangalore,
right,
and that's where a lot of kids are playing football, a lot of academies out there. And these academies are now started, having their own analyst to work with the people out there, and so that has also opened up to be part of the team. So why I say about analysts is that if you really enjoy understanding technicalities of the game, and if you enjoy interacting with the athletes and the coaches, and that's something you can be part of the team, right?
right,
Outside the team, there are so many things to do with in terms of digital marketing, marketing itself, sales for any of the sponsorship deals or sales for the teams out there, selling tickets out there. And then
right,
also the representation of athletes has really picked up a lot. People
right,
can become agents and then go out, represent them, get them sponsorship, get them team out there. So these things have actually opened up a lot in this particular industry. And I'm sure uh, these leagues have really given a good a lifestyle for people to understand, get get closer to the sport is something which has become very much interesting. And with the
right,
likes of the Dream Levens and many of this online based um, fantasy companies have come up, so people are able to do a lot of fan engagement and
right,
fan analytics. And now the biggest thing right now, what's coming up is in terms of how do you convert a fan and how do you monetize a fan is something which is really coming up. I think
right,
it's something which
right,
every club wants to do it because it's a monetization for them to understand of the fan.
right, right. Okay, great. So I just want to finally touch upon one thing. You actually offer sports analytics courses as well, right? To a few colleges, right? Um, what are the kind of opportunities that exist in sports analytics per se? And what kind of role can someone expect in sports analytics?
Yeah, yeah. So what we did, Vijit, like from the last year, the COVID when hit us on in the month of March, we came up and said, hey, if you want to be a sports analyst, if you want to pick up analytics as your main thing, there's no course was available. It's like you don't have to do a sports management for a couple of years and things like that. We said, how can you learn sports analytics by a course and from the people who actually work with the teams out there, and what all the skills you really require for to become a sports analyst. So we put up a curriculum. We said sports analytics for beginners, and we started conducting this online courses. It's a live online courses, and
Right,
then the idea was to impart the knowledge, also create a community of sports analysts who are like very much aspirant towards analytically driven approach, right?
right,
And because
right,
tomorrow it can open up multiple jobs for them. When a sports KPI is looking for, even now when we look out for any job, that's the first community where we go and put out and then take people for internships and everything. So then we started putting out what are the list of things you need, and then how do you put a program. So we put up a 3 weeks program, and that really went really well. I think right now we got close to around 150 odd community members. We did close to
Wow.
10 batches out there, and it was sports agnostic. So we had people coming
Right.
from tennis, boxing, even archery, football. So there are many people coming in and say, hey, how can we do it? So we showcase them in terms of what tools can be used, what technology can be used, and then you can customize accordingly for your sport, right? So we just made it
Right.
very agnostic for that. That
Right.
led us to have some courses on specific to football. Like, we got a lot of people from football they said tactical football analysis. So we always
Right.
can read a lot of tactics around online, but getting to know the game much more detail has becomes very much different. And one of the
Right.
key main thing right now in Indian football is also about scouting. So we don't have a
Right.
great structure of scouting. So we say, hey,
Right.
how can someone can become a scout and start scouting players out there? So we put that into our program, and we have got some international coaches out there to conduct these sessions as well. That opened up a lot for us to many people to come out. And one of the most interesting part in that course is not just that we're imparting the technical knowledge, but we in fact called up like people like Pradyum Reddy. We had some people coming from IPL as an analyst and talking in terms of what exactly happens on the ground so that they can get a direct picture over there. So that opened up for some people who happen to connect with these experts, and they landed up a job with Star Sports during the ISL point of time. They got in some jobs with the teams out there. Now they got a job in with some academies out there. So this is something which really opened up for us to set up that particular course out there, and we keep continuing just in order to build the community out there. So
Right.
there are two ways you can look at. One, you can actually become a performance analyst, go to a team or an academy, work with a coach, and become a performance analyst. Nowadays, there are a lot of jobs and roles in the industry just into more of data analytics, right? If you
Right.
understand programming language like Python, R, Tableau, and also a bit of SQL and Excel, and you work with a lot of data points, right? So then you become a
Right.
lot of data analyst. Also, some of the broadcasting teams like ISL, Star Sports or Sony, they take some of these analysts to churn out some information because it becomes like a fan story for a commentator to speak about. All right. So those things
Right.
also actually opened up, and along with that, with all the fantasy leagues coming in, so there are a lot of openings for people to analyze the fans, analyze the consumption, the behavior part of the fans out there. So those are the
Right.
areas in which people can get a job role.
Right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm bringing a close to this show now. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, thank you, Naveen. That was a super insightful session. For those of you who want to get in touch with Naveen, the link would be at the bottom of the podcast description. You can actually go check out some of the cool stuff that Sports KPI does. And if you're lucky enough, you can also go work very closely with Naveen as well. So thank you, Naveen. Thank you very much for being part of this. Hope to have you in the second season as well, whenever that happens.
Sure. Thanks, Abhijit. Thanks for having me out there. And it was great interacting with you. And I hope people will get some kind of a knowledge what we shared across over here. And anyone can actually touch base with us and anything with sports. They can reach out to me any point of time. All right.
Right? Amazing. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Thank you, Naveen. Take
Thanks,
care.
man.
Yeah.
Take care.